Good evening, this is the Oscar Expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Rustin, directed by George C. Wolfe. It stars Coleman Domingo as Baynard Rustin, a civil rights activist who organized the March on Washington. This film is ambitious in the sense that it seeks to reframe the civil rights movement as being piloted by not just Martin Luther King, but Baynard Rustin. And the reason we don't hear about Baynard Rustin is because he was gay, and there were large efforts to discredit him. And so he's been relegated to the shadows of history, but this film, rightfully so, brings him out to the front and center of the civil rights movement and really rectifies that injustice that was done to him and his legacy. As far as the story goes, it's pretty straightforward. I did learn about how much work went into organizing this protest. I mean, we have to be reminded that the scale of this operation to get hundreds of thousands of people to go to Washington, D.C., by bus or plane and have those tickets be sponsored from donations, having like the sound systems being put in place was a massive feat and took an insane amount of engineering and hard work and dedication from its leaders to pull off. And the film gives you a great appreciation for this. And while the story doesn't go places you wouldn't expect, it had a lot of fun putting Baynard Rustin and his magnetic personality on screen. There are a couple of things that really elevated it for me. One of them was that I thought the writing was particularly good. This is actually the writer of Milk, Dustin Lance Black. I really like the dialogue here.
Yeah.
It's very witty.
Super sharp, super funny.
And it gives Baynard Rustin a bunch of great moments for that character to go off and be big, and it resulted in a lot of cheer-worthy moments. I mean, of course, not just the writing, but the performance itself of Coleman Domingo, which it feels like this entire film is in service of. My TIFF audience erupted in applause many times throughout this film, perhaps even a dozen, just from some of the lines that Coleman Domingo gets to deliver when he stands up for something that is right and just, or when he claps back at somebody who's trying to get in the way of his operation. And he's able to articulate so wonderfully why he's important and what his mission is. This is an incredible showcase for Coleman Domingo and his talents, who we've been waiting to see get a lead role for so many years. And not only does he have this film at TIFF, but he's the lead in Sing Sing, and both of those performances are just incredible. It's hard to say which one is better, but this one's certainly more Oscar baity, if you will. He has different teeth, his deep baritone voice is transformed into something of a tenor, and he's absolutely infectious. He just brings so much personality and energy and emotion to this character. And the movie really is just an ode to somebody that refused to tone himself down. The supporting cast is also very good. Jeffrey Wright was great here. He stood out a lot, actually. It made me think that maybe there was something going on where the other performances were just a little more dry. Audra McDonald's great here, Michael Potts, and Glenn Turman. Chris Rock is also in this, and I thought he was serviceable, but it's hard to say if there's one standout supporting performance because it's so centralized around Rustin. The last thing I want to shout out is the score from Branford Marsalis, whose ensemble of instruments includes blaring trumpets, thumping plucked bass, and exhilarating percussion. That really elevated the film, and George C. Wolfe's collaboration with him has been really strong so far, as his score in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was also really good. And George C. Wolfe overall, this is kind of an average looking movie, but I like the energy that he put in here. There are other biopics here that flat out bored me, but this just wasn't one of them. I think George C. Wolfe, though, impressed me more with some of the choices he made with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Overall, the politics of this movie, I don't think it's particularly challenging from like the type of surface level MLK understanding that we get in our textbooks maybe, and it being produced by like the Obamas. It doesn't like reshape the way you think of anything. But overall, I enjoyed the movie a lot, and Coleman Domingo was really memorable in it, so I would give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's really important that this movie makes a contribution to history and our understanding of it by reviving a figure who was buried because of his sexuality. And the film does justice towards showing how openly okay with himself Baynard Rustin was. I would give it a 7 out of 10. This movie's probably in contention for just Best Actor at the Oscars, unless you think song is a thing, but that could be a thing. I didn't pay attention to the song that much. It was just seemed like a typical civil rights ending song that you walk out of the theater to. Coleman Domingo, sure, he may not be in a movie that's getting nominated for Best Picture, and there are 4 clear contenders who seem like they will be, and some, maybe you could argue that puts him right at the bottom at number 5.
Yeah.
And that maybe he's like snubbable or something, but it is hard for me to not see him getting nominated for this.
Yeah.
Every scene is an Oscar clip, and like you said, those cheerworthy moments, like that is real.
Honestly, I might put it at number 1.
Yeah, but in a category full of like people in Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, I don't know.
And stuff,
But that's what people said about Jessica Chastain and Tammy Faye, they were taking her out because they felt like, oh, there's other performances here that are more important.
No, but
she
none
hung in
Best
there.
Picture.
She hung
but
in
none
there.
in Best Picture. But I do agree. Like my intuition was that he was good enough to win here.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that says.
This is the performance that I refuse to be gaslit on. I think he might pull through with the industry awards.
That's sad. Because I remember
Yeah.
we felt very strongly about Jessica Chastain when we saw it and we were
Brendan
brought
Fraser.
down from it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Has your story been buried by history?